Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Martin. I'm head of Google's cloud business for retail in the UK. Well done for making it here 9 a.m. on the final day of our Google Next conference. We recognize that we had some stiff competition from the party last night and also the keynote that's taking place at the moment. So a big well done and thank you for choosing this session to spend some time with us this morning. I'd like to start this session with an insight into retailers' most important asset, the shopper. Shoppers today are curious, demanding, and impatient. Shoppers have more touch points with your business than ever before. They visit your website, they use your app, they come to your physical store, call to your customer service line, join your loyalty program, watch your YouTube videos, stop by your Facebook page, subscribe to your email lists, and more. They also see your ads, search, social, video, TV, radio, print, and out of home. So these interactions produce a wealth of information about your customers and what they want from your business. Good news for business? Well, not necessarily, if that information is not used effectively. In fact, according to a joint study Google conducted with Greenberg, at least 62% of people expect brands to use their purchase history to provide them with personalized experiences, yet only 42% think most brands currently do. So why is that? Is it an impossible task to deliver relevant, personalized experiences at every touch point? What are the reasons that may prevent this? Typically, an organization's data is spread across many places: ad campaigns, CRM systems, customer service logs, website app analytics, loyalty programs, and many, many more. So this means it can be very, very difficult to get a single view of each customer. So it's no surprise that almost 60% of marketers, according to Forrester, say that it remains difficult to give stakeholders in different business functions access to data and the insights that they need. And without it, how can they create truly personalized experiences? But to deliver that kind of experience that your customer now expects, organizations need to take a very different approach. The key thing is you need to have all of your data, not just some of your data, in one place. Structured and unstructured, all different types. And when it's in one place, then you're in a position to unlock the most valuable insights it provides. Cloud solutions enable you to break down data silos and organize your data such that you can better analyze and activate it to gain better insights and drive better and more predictive outcomes. We speak with many organizations who are actively working to incorporate artificial intelligence and machine learning into their data analytics strategy. Yet the vast majority of those organizations are at the very earliest stage of AI initiative. According to the Gartner survey, a CIO survey last year, it's reckoned that only 4% of CIOs currently have AI underway within the organization, yet this is set to change rapidly over the next 2 to 3 years. In fact, it's reckoned by 2020, more than 85% of organizations will have AI programs under pilot or in an operational mode. So why is that? Well, to adopt AI, customers face many, many challenges. Technology, the scale needed to handle AI is massive. From an operational perspective, you need to have the right expertise in place, the right people. But very few organizations have those people. They're a scarce breed. And tooling, which to date has been very narrow in terms of the options it provides and requiring much specialization. So realistically, AI has only been in the hands of very few people, very few organizations in the last few decades. And it's those who've had access to deep computational resources, training, and specialized expertise in machine learning, organizations that are technology-oriented. So you need to embrace new approaches and adopt technologies like artificial intelligence, but doing that is a huge operational challenge. This is where Google Cloud comes in. Google Cloud is Google's public cloud computing business and brings a variety of products and services to provide you with AI at scale. So why choose Google for AI? Well, we provide that massive scale, the same computing power that powers Google Search, Gmail, Maps, Android, and many others which have over 1 billion users today. We provide high performance, a global infrastructure as a service leveraging Google's technology in servers, processors, and private fiber network. And the quality of technology with a range of innovations Google has developed for data management, analytics, and artificial intelligence. And bringing together customization for a cloud AI solution with an approach we take to do advanced solution labs where we will develop innovation with you, our professional services capability, and the extensive range of business partners that Google has, is how we bring this to you to provide that AI capability in your organization and improve your productivity. We provide a spectrum of AI and machine learning tools, and you would have heard some of these being further announced during this conference. And this is enabling you to leverage your organization's capabilities and skill sets, and also your big asset in client. On one end, we have pre-trained, out-of-the-box models for companies that don't really have that expertise in-house. And you can use pre-trained models like Vision API, Video API, Video Analysis, Natural Language API, or Translation API to deliver certain experiences to your customer. On the other end of the scale, you have Google's market-leading open-source machine learning engine, TensorFlow, which lets your data scientists build their own models to solve customer challenges within your business. And in the middle, we offer managed services like Cloud ML that brings the best of both worlds together so you can customize models for specific use, but use our managed services to test, train, and scale your models in the cloud. Now, enough from me. What you're really here for is to hear a real customer who's been doing this. So to bring it all to life, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce and welcome onto the stage John T. Angel, who is head of Ocado Technology and a good friend of Google Cloud. John T.
Cool. Thanks. Thank you. Hello.
So, John T., to kick things off,
yes.
Can you explain the Ocado business model and a little bit about Ocado for us?
Sure. So should I take that?
Please do.
Thank you. Cool. So firstly, thank you for having me here. It's always great to be in San Fran. The weather's not unbelievable. I came in from London where it's about 36 degrees and heat waves. So, however, it is nice to be here and nice to be with everyone. Thank you also for coming this morning. I know after the party last night, probably, not easy to wake up and come to the 9 a.m. session. So, and thanks, Nick, for that introduction. So to answer your question, what is Ocado and, what businesses are in Ocado? So quickly, by a show of hands, who has heard of Ocado or interacted with Ocado? Okay, good. So that means my colleagues who have been speaking also at some other sessions have done a good job because there's some hands up. Who's used Ocado before? Okay, so very few hands. Okay, so basically Ocado at a high level is really a fusion of two businesses. On the one side, we have a retail business, which if you've lived in the UK or you've actually used the service, or been into London and seen some of the vans, you'll know that we run an online grocery supermarket where we take orders in, and through a series of supply chain activities, we then deliver an order to people's houses. And actually, we go further than that. We go into the kitchen and deliver it into the kitchen. So it's a great end-to-end service where you can have your groceries delivered in a 1-hour time slot. That's our retail side of the business. Underpinning that, we have a technology business, which actually has only really come to light over the last few years in the public eye. The technology business focuses on building the platform that powers that retail business. So things that are important are all of the learnings that are happening in the retail business, all of the specific customer requirements, and then this real-time feedback loop that we get from our retail customers interacting with the Ocado brand. So what you have here is this unique fusion of two businesses with an amazing feedback loop that's real time. So on the one side, we learn it from customers because we have an online supermarket, and on the other side, we build in technology to support that service. So then who is Ocado? So Ocado is the world's largest dedicated online grocery retailer. We have over 600,000 active shoppers. We have a range of over 50,000 SKUs across our 4 automated warehouses. And we pick around 250,000 orders per week. So for an online-only business with no stores, that's quite big. Just to give you an understanding of the number of orders, this is a picture which was taken actually in San Francisco on an ad for Sony Bravia. They released a whole lot of bouncing balls into the street, and actually they released 250,000 balls. So, just to give you perspective on the kind of number of orders we do in a week through our automated facilities. So then, taking the lens and looking through that second business, which is our technology business, the question is, what is the Ocado Smart Platform? So this is our modular and scalable software and hardware platform designed to put the world's largest retailers online. So we currently have some partners, which you would have seen in the press releases over the last year or so, who have engaged in this platform. And what the platform aids to do is to deliver a full end-to-end service for your retail business. So there are 3 key activities over here which we focus on within our end-to-end platform. The first activity is that of shopping. So we create an interface where customers can come to a website and engage with the site and shop and add favorites, etc., and build a basket. Once that's complete, we then have to fulfill that order, so we have to pick it, and we have our automated facilities, and we also have an in-store picking system. And then once that order is picked and fulfilled, we then need to deliver it to the customer. So the third part is delivery, and that's where we load up our vans and using proprietary routing systems and algorithms, we deliver the groceries to our users, either in their homes or via click and collect type portals. So an image which from a product perspective is a lot easier to kind of get your head around what the platform is, would be to try divide it into these triangles where, as I mentioned, you have the shopping experience in the top half of the triangles, which is responsible for the e-commerce activities. You then have our fulfillment triangle effectively, or module, which is responsible for fulfilling those orders. And then you have our delivery module, which is responsible for sending them to clients. And they are all held together with a core which is responsible for things like the basket pricing engines, all the specific order management systems, etc., etc., etc. So the platform is really modular and scalable, but also what this slide is highlighting is I've listed their current capabilities are around the things that you traditionally find in one of these end-to-end supply chain systems. I've also highlighted future opportunity examples. So the platform's been built in a way where we can innovate and really stay on the bleeding edge. So for example, IoT, robotics, autonomous vehicles, those are all areas we're extremely interested in and want to enable our platform to easily engage in.
So, Jonty, you mentioned technology platform. Can you share further insights into those platforms, the department, and some of the machine learning innovations that you've implemented at Ocado to support your customers?
Yes, I can. So in order to answer that question, I would first like to just give you quite a high-level overview of what the technology division is at Ocado. So as I said, we're the tale of these two businesses, the retail and the technology, and what we've established is it's more than just a division actually. It's almost like a company on its own, a business on its own. We have Ocado Technology, and that's responsible for building the software that powers Ocado. So we have over 1,000 people working in Ocado Technology, and more than half of those people are computer scientists, engineers, data specialists, and machine learning specialists. So we've invested in people who have these skills and can build up this side of our business. We also have European offices where we have developers in Poland. We have 2 offices there actually, in Krakow and Wrocław. And we have an office in Barcelona. And then we also have an office in Sofia in Bulgaria. So we are, these offices are first technology offices building the platform. And, the bulk of our development does also happen in Hatfield in the UK. Behind Ocado Technology, there are really 3 core principles that enable us to build the seamless experience and platform for our customers. That is intuitive, efficient, and convenient. So what I mean by intuitive is we make sure that our web shop experience or our shopping experience is very easy to use. So anything we build has to be easy to use. It has to be immediately accessible by our customers. Efficient, so because we need to do things fast and a lot of things at scale, like picking orders, packing them, delivering them, sorting them, all kinds of these operational processes, along the whole end-to-end, we need to be efficient. So we effectively need to be efficient at scale. And I've got a video actually where I'll show you one of our latest warehouses and how we are building robots to help us be more automated and efficient. And then convenient, well, I have a picture here of one of our delivery drivers, and what this really means is we need to build software and applications that are not just great and fast and out there in the market and quickly in the hands of our customers and innovative. They need to be convenient, easy to use, easy to understand by our employees. So when that delivery driver gets to the door, the first thing that they're thinking of is to offer a great experience to the user and not to be hung up on the technology. So the technology needs to work for them, to allow them to do their job. And that's one of our principles, is we need to empower our people to be able to easily use the technology. Now, to achieve those principles, you have to invest in a lot of back-end skills, a lot of capabilities, and what Ocado has done over the years, actually since the start, is has invested in these departments. We have a lot of people who are working on automation and robotics. We have specialists in machine learning, mobile app development, routing systems, data science, cloud, vision systems, simulation. I mean, if you walk around one of our warehouses, you'll see all these things interacting with each other and giving you an insight that this is a technology business that you're in the heart of. just to talk to Nick's point, for us, we need to invest heavily in skills like machine learning and basically how to use cloud technologies, which prompts us to collaborate further with companies like Google, because that investment is crucial to us taking the next step, which is keeping innovative, keeping on the bleeding edge, offering those new systems, building those intelligent, personalized experiences. And that's where we want to be. So as a business, we've incorporated this in our culture, and that's how we're moving forward. So I've got a video here just to show you one of the areas of the platform which I think is extremely impressive. It's basically, once an order is ready to be delivered, we have our routing system that takes over to understand where orders need to be dropped off and in what order, and the particular vans that will take them there. So you can see this here as a simulation based on real data, actually, and it's just been sped up across an entire day. What you can see is every little pin drop is actually a completed order. So as an order gets delivered, you can see that it lights up like a little drop. We're probably in the simulation around midday or 1 p.m. where London gets a bit nuclear. So you can see the activity over there. And then the other big patches of activity are around our automated fulfillment centers. You can actually see Dordon, where we have a big center there. Andover, we have another one. So, in order to do this, we have to invest in algorithms that, can basically give us the most efficient routing around our geography to deliver those orders. And you can go to that link over there to find out more about our specific routing systems. The second video that I want to show you is of our latest technology in our warehouses. Whoops, let me go back. I think I need to click that. Oh. So this is Andover Fulfillment Center. Whoop. And Andover is southwest of London. And as you can see here, this is a view from the top of a grid or a hive structure, which is a highly dense storage system. And what you're doing is you're looking over the grid, and imagine looking at the size of a football pitch, where literally you have over 1,000 robots moving on top of this grid doing different activities. So some of the activities that the robots do is when products are brought into the hive from suppliers, there's robot activity which basically unpacks and places them in the grid. Other activities are bringing products to areas of the grid where we have a pick-in aisle. So we actually, within the grid, have a pick-in tunnel, and we have people who are placing products into different baskets and different assortments. And another function of the bots, which is actually what I think is the most intelligent, is at the end of every shift, the bots run a specific algorithm or set of algorithms that allow them to do housekeeping, which is they prepare the grid for the next set of orders. So effectively what happens is we can make sure that the grid is always stocked with the orders in the right places to efficiently fulfill the next set of deliveries. So I hope you can get an idea of the size, and those are charging stations at the back, basically, which the bots go off to.
Pretty impressive. I've actually had the pleasure of visiting that DC, and I would have to say, if you ever get the opportunity to go and visit, it's the most impressive setup and a lot of fun. So, Jonty, can you take us? How are we doing? Can you take us on to how machine learning is directly providing your customers with a better buying experience and service?
Yes. So just first to introduce, what is a benefit for our customers, I would like to share, the three core areas that we look every day to improve on is, number one, we need to make sure that deliveries are on time. It's more important to get a delivery on time than anything, because that's the expectation of the customer. The second is great shelf life. So we need to make sure that all our products have a great shelf life so that they are in the life of before they expire. And actually, Ocado has a life promise in that. And then almost no substitutions. So that means when you place an order, you want those products that you ordered. You don't want to see a whole list of other products which kind of we just threw in there. So you want the products you ordered. So our supply chain systems need to be efficient and accurate to ensure that the right stock is in the right warehouse. If I go on to the benefits to retailers, well, if we are focusing on building the technology, then that takes a lot of the risk off them, and they can effectively focus on running their business. So that gives us an opportunity to develop more intelligent systems for the retailer to benefit from. So for example, one of the benefits is low waste, and that's because in our customer journey, we have different mechanisms of offering products throughout the journey that ensure that maybe those products that were going to be wasted can be re-offered within the customer journey. There's another one called Know Your Customer, which I'll talk about a little bit later, which is around customization, where we do use machine learning to get a better understanding of the needs of our customer based on previous orders so that we can deliver a more personalized experience. And then, there's a couple of other ones over here which add to the overall benefit that a retailer gets from using our platform. So more specifically, to answer your question, the two areas that I'll briefly highlight where we've used machine learning to positively impact our customer experience and our platform has been in fraud detection and in customization. So I have a little quote up here which shares kind of the motivation of why we wanted to use machine learning for fraud detection. And it was really all about how can we have speed and adaptability. So we know that if we were humans looking at fraudulent activity and trying to make assessments and predictions, what would happen is that the fraudsters would effectively change the way that they operate in a way where we would need to be really, really quick to keep up with them. So what we felt is that this is a perfect use case for machine learning, where we could just let a machine do that. And if we had enough data in the background to power that engine, the machines would become more intelligent and would understand, how to spot fraudulent behavior. My colleagues spoke a bit more about this in another session, I think it was yesterday, and there's a video which explains more technically what we're doing there. But at a high level, the data sets that we're using are things like past orders, previous cases of fraud, past deliveries, the cost of baskets, order items. So that if someone is effectively every morning at 9 a.m. buying X amounts of, alcohol, and they are just, being placed in these random kind of delivery spots, you can assume that it's, fraudulent activity. But the powerful thing is taking all these data sets together, you get new trends and you get new ideas, and you can actually, for the first time, stay ahead of the fraudulent activity. With fraud, what's interesting is in our customer journey, actually, we do our fraud detection at the front end of that customer journey. So effectively, when you enter the site to start shopping, we are already doing the fraud checks and starting to assess fraudulent activity. And that's because, we want to make sure that anything that happens after that is not fraudulent. Some of the tools that we use are, we really try to use the whole stack of Google Cloud. So we use the ML engine, BigQuery, cloud storage, and TensorFlow. And this is a really, really big project right now within our business. So this is another diagram which just gives that whole data flow. So the last section is customization. So if, again, you look at the end-to-end customer journey, where you start an order, you start doing your shopping and you're preparing your order, and then you go through to completing your order to checkout, what we've found is that the real way to impact a customer is to show them things at the end of that customer journey which will allow them to have an amazing experience. And you can now do that using machine learning, because the way we've employed it is we get to know more about our customer based on their previous orders and favorites, so that we can offer them things in the last pages of checkout which they wouldn't necessarily think they could be offered. For example, the page that we offer is called Have You Run Out Of? And that is a system where if I always, every third week buy dishwashing tablets, and I get to that third week where I've now completed my basket and the system has recognized that I don't have the dishwashing tablets, it will prompt me and it will say, well, have you run out of this? Do you expect to buy these? That's an amazing service, because if I can add that to my basket without having to see it not being in my order and the frustration that comes after that, I'd be an extremely happy customer. So the benefit there to the customer is that they get to not be inconvenienced by products that they leave out of their shop because they've forgotten it. So they do in their shop for a purpose, and sometimes it's those products that they leave out. For the retailer, this is massively beneficial because the retailer gets to build a bigger basket. So it gets to make sure that the customer is both happy and the basket is increasing in size with those essential items. And there again, we use a large extent of the Google Cloud to build this machine learning engine. So that's really what I wanted to cover today, and I hope I've answered your questions.
I believe so. Thank you, Jonty. That's been, I'm sure you'll agree with me, a fantastic insight into the Ocado business model and also use of technology and machine learning. So a huge thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you.
Thanks.